these are now going to be, supporting a 5,000 pound plus vehicle over my head. So you guys better do good. So let's talk Harbor Freight. Most of us shop there because we can get pretty good tools for a very reasonable price, right? I go there because if I need something quick, I know I can get it cheap and, it's good enough to get me through a couple of uses at least. Sometimes they're not the prettiest tools. Sometimes they don't have the very best fit and finish that you might find in a big box store. But I don't care about that. I just want to get the job done for as little money as possible. Well, I, like many of you, when I was looking for an extra set of jack stands, in my case, I was looking for an extra set of heavy-duty jack stands, 6-ton to be exact. I kind of shopped around quickly on Amazon and stuff and basically came to the conclusion that why pay, so-and-so amount of dollars for this set of 6-ton jack stands when I can pay, $35 or $40 or whatever it was at Harbor Freight for their 6-ton jack stands. If they're both the same 6-ton rating, why pay more, right? That was my mentality and probably a lot of your mentality also. Why pay more for the same thing? And that's where the problems come in. I mean, what does it mean to be the same? I mean, just because the rating was the same doesn't mean the two products are the same. You have one that's made of potentially lower quality materials and potentially a lower level of fit and finish, quality checks and things like that. And you have another that's potentially made of better materials and potentially made to a higher quality standard. I mean, that's the hope. So anyways, I went ahead and bought those $35, $40 set of jack stands. I've been using them with my 95 Suburban, my 2003 Suburban. They're both big, heavy vehicles without an issue whatsoever, thank God. But not too long ago, Harbor Freight sent out an email stating that these 6-ton jack stands, and to be clear, it was between a certain serial number. It wasn't every one of them, to my understanding. It was just from certain serial numbers that were manufactured with defects, I think is what it was. Regardless, they were issuing a recall for the 6-ton jack stands. In my book, I don't care if the jack stand that I had was within the certain serial number. It scared me enough to say, hey, I'm just gonna be bringing my jack stands in, and Harbor Freight was willing to honor that regardless of the serial number. And I actually got a full monetary refund, which took some explaining to the actual cashier to have done. They wanted to give me a Harbor Freight gift card, but I had to describe to them and explain to them the letter from the CEO of Harbor Freight that stated that they would honor a full cash refund if requested, and that's what I told them, and that's what they did. So thank you. But back to that issue of the same, I really truly believe now that no, they're not the same. And when you use your common sense and you think, wow, I bought a set of jack stands that are meant to hold up a 5,000 pound vehicle, rated at 6 tons per pair, that's kind of scary to me to pay just $35 for something that is supposed to hold up to 6 tons, using both of the jack stands together, but something that's supposed to be able to hold up 6 tons for 35, 40 bucks. I mean, that's, something's not right there, right? Are you guys with me here? So it's weird that these sorts of things happen because it kind of takes something like this for our eyes to really be opened and to realize kind of the mistake that we made. I feel like I made a mistake. Trusting my life with a set of $40 jack stands just doesn't seem right to me. I'm not saying that, say Harbor Freight was charging $150 for those jack stands, that I would feel much better about it. It's not that. It's trying to find a reputable company, a company that has a great history, that makes great products, that has contracts with, for example, the United States government, the military, places like that, knowing that if their products are good enough for them, they're definitely going to be good enough for me. And oh, by the way, they just so happen to cost many more times as much as what I paid before. So that's just the case. It comes with the territory. When you buy products that are, for example, American made, 100% made in America, they're gonna cost more. They just are. That's just the way it is. So if you haven't already gotten it by now, I bought a new set of jack stands. This is the company here, US Jack. You can find them at usjack.com. These are their 6-ton jack stands, and here is the model number, D41610. I'm not being sponsored by these guys. They're not paying me or anything. I'm just letting you know what I did after the Harbor Freight recall. But that's actually not the end of the story. So Harbor Freight sent out the initial recall notice for everyone who had purchased, I think it was both the 3 and 6-ton jack stands. But then after they gave everyone a refund or a store credit or replacement jack stands, those replacement jack stands, those new jack stands that everyone got, were also recalled. So this is a double recall, a dual recall on their jack stands. If this isn't a huge red flag for you, it certainly was for me. I don't know, guys, when we're talking a dual recall, when we're talking about recalling something, replacing it, and then recalling what it was replaced with, that scares me. It scares me enough to know not to use their jack stands. That's my opinion anyway. So before any of you sit there and say, you know, who cares, throw a tire under the vehicle just in case, throw some bricks, throw some, 6x6s or whatever the case may be. Guys, I don't want to risk anything. I don't want to have my truck up on a couple of jack stands that I think are protecting my life, and to have something happen to where those jack stands failed would be devastating. It could potentially injure you very badly or worse, and I'm not willing to take that chance, and I hope that none of you are either. That's when I made the decision that, I don't care what it costs. My life is worth more. I found some companies that were saying they were American made, and come to find out that may be true, but I think some of the parts or the materials they source are from overseas somewhere. And so they weren't truly 100% made. And to my understanding, this US Jack company, and correct me if I'm wrong, please, because this is for the community. To my understanding, this US Jack company is 100% USA made, meaning the metals, the materials, the parts, everything comes from the USA, including putting them together, the paint, everything. And so therefore, I'm hoping that translates to a much better product, right? All right, so I've pulled up their website. And right here on the home page, it says, discover why manufacturers use US Jack company products. If I scroll down a little bit, it says approximately 60% of our business is under contract with the federal government, either through our own contracts with the General Services Administration or contracts being fulfilled through a number of our customers, which include BAE System, Lockheed Martin, Boeing Aerospace, Oshkosh Trucks, Snap-on Tool. Those are all fantastic companies. A little bit higher up, it talks about their jacks, because US Jack doesn't just make jack stands, they make jacks also. But it says this: potential OEM customers consistently inquire about products that are 100% USA made, as they are fed up with import jacks with failure rates of 25 to 40% right out of the box. That's, of course, talking about the jacks, but I would imagine that jack stands can't be far behind. Pulling up their page for their 3, 6, and 10-ton jack stands, we can read the features here, which say double lock security system, utilizes 2 65-45-12 ductile iron castings to engage 2 teeth on the paw and load extension bar to lock in place. So looking at this guy here, it looks like we have 2 teeth. We have one up here and one down here that locks right in here to keep this in place. So we're not relying off just one tooth in this, we got 2. 3 and 6-ton models feature stamped legs held in position by an outside perimeter ring welded to the legs. Can't get through a friggin' sentence without a helicopter coming by. And last but not least, these things are powder coated. Powder coated red and gray up here, and they do look fantastic. Just for comparison purposes, let's take a look at what these brand new 6 tons look like next to my little 3 tons there. Those 3-ton jack stands I got with my Craftsman jack I bought a few years back. And so now those are just reserved for backup. Look at how much beefier these new 6-ton jack stands are than the 3-ton. Understandably so. Those are 3-ton, those are 6-ton, so twice the capacity there. However, those things look like they are made really well. Here's this little 3-ton. This is really for a car or a small SUV. And here's this massive 6-ton here. Definitely something worth considering. Now, I can't remember the exact price I paid for these new jack stands, but it was a little over $200 after shipping and taxes and all that stuff, I think. Maybe even $250. I can't really remember. But regardless, the more I think about it, and now that I have purchased them, they're worth every penny. I would even go as far as to say these things are cheap at that price. When we're talking about protecting our lives as we work on our vehicles, doing what we love to do, we can't take any chances. Now, I definitely do have to hand it to Harbor Freight for sending out these emails, for having the recall, and for the CEO to write a letter stating that, hey, sorry, we had the first recall, we gave you replacements, we had another recall on those replacements. That's awesome. I think that that's really good that he did that. I'm happy he did that. I'm happy that it helped me, anyways, to make a choice as to whether I wanted to go back to those jack stands or not. You guys already know the answer to that, but still, he gave us the option. Just the option to know more and to know exactly what was going on, and that is awesome for a CEO to do. As I was saying, we all shop at Harbor Freight for things here and there. This is something I bought recently that I really think is good. This is the 1/4-inch Icon swivel head ratchet, and I quite like this little guy. Now, of course, there are many other products, many other tools that I have bought there, and I've never had an issue. Anything from ratchets to paint brushes that I really love because they're like $1 and they work fine. I've bought tons of gloves there, all kinds of eye protection, many other things. And I've never really had such a bad experience with anything that I thought I wouldn't shop there anymore. So I still do shop there, and I still am going to shop there. I'm just not going to buy their jack stands. Well, my hope is this video helped you somewhat to be able to make a decision as to what type of jack stands, replacement jack stands, new jack stands for that matter, that you want to buy. Whether you have the Harbor Freight jack stands still and you need to return them, hopefully I've helped you to figure out how to get a monetary refund if that's what you want. Or if you're going to replace them with a new set of Harbor Freight jack stands, to each their own. I'm not saying there's a problem with that. They're probably going to be fine. For me, I'm not going to trust those, but these are now going to be, supporting a 5,000-pound plus vehicle over my head. So you guys better do good. All right, guys, I'm Jimmy. This is One Road, and I will see you in the next one.